Hello again, beautiful artists, and welcome back to another episode of Paint Along with Skye. If you're new here, welcome. My name is Skye, and I post beginning level acrylic painting tutorials here on YouTube every Saturday. So make sure to subscribe so you can join the fun and paint along, and don't forget to hit the bell icon so you can be notified when I post a new video. Alright, so it's midsummer here, and I thought we would do something refreshing as a nice little cool down here as the summer heat fades here in the northern hemisphere. So I thought we'd paint some lovely lemons. Today, gonna take you guys step by step through it just like usual. And I have my 3 standard brushes here that I'm gonna be using for today's painting. So I got my square brush, medium-sized pointed brush, and a small detailed brush. Gonna get those in my water cup off the side of the screen. The colors that I'm going to be starting with today's background step are really simple, just a little bit of white and some ultramarine blue. If you'd like to see a full materials list of everything that you need to paint along, check the description box below. All right, let's go ahead and jump on in. So super simple background here. We just want to do a little bit of like a blue sky. So I'm going to grab my largest square brush here and a little bit of water. Always with the acrylic paint, helps it to go nice and smooth. And I'm just going to start filling in my whole canvas with just a little bit of textured blue and white. And if you have some areas that are white, you still want to put white paint down there rather than leaving it to be just empty canvas. All right, and just not over mixing my color and allowing it to have a little bit of variation. So there's going to be some areas of a darker blue and areas of lighter blue. Just a nice summer sky, kind of faded in the background there. All right, and just getting that all filled in like so. Back and forth, moving my hand around, getting that dexterity practice. Okay, looks good. And once you get it all filled in, we're just gonna go ahead and let this layer dry, and then we'll come back with a whole bunch more. So I'll see everyone in a few. Okay, welcome back, artists. We have a dry background, and I also got some fresh colors on my piece of palette paper here. So I have some more white, a little bit of a warm burnt sienna type of brown, some of my favorite phthalo green, bright yellow, and some black. I rinsed my brushes and got fresh water at break as well. Let's go ahead and jump right back in. So I'm gonna grab my smallest brush now, and I'm gonna do some kind of sketching with paint though. And we're gonna block out our whole little composition here before we fill it in. So I'm gonna start with a light yellow, going to sketch in the colors that I'm going to fill in with in just a minute, to kind of make a color coordinated paint by numbers, if you will. And I'm going to start with what I feel like is my focal point lemon, which is going to be just a little bit off center. And I'm just gonna do a little curved brush stroke first, and then just building the shape from there. I always like to start a little bit smaller than what I think I'm gonna end up with. And then the lemon shape, we're gonna have a little secondary curve there at the bottom. And just gonna adjust that shape now as needed. Looking good. And I'm going to have another lemon right behind it. Those are 2 lemons on a bunch there. One looks a little balloon shaped, which I guess is pretty accurate. Hot air balloon shaped. All right, and I made that one a little bigger than I wanted, so I'll go ahead and make this guy bigger too, since their bunch meets there. Always starting smaller, that way you can adjust. Okay, and then from the top here, gonna have a little kind of secondary mound for where the stem is going to come out from, and I'm gonna rinse my brush and now go in with my stem color. So I'm going to take my phthalo green, mix it with some brown and some yellow to get a nice sort of foresty green. All right, and then from the top of the lemon, I'm just gonna do sort of like a curved line, and then this one will come and meet the bunch like so. Okay. Just kind of wiggle your way off the side of the canvas there. And then with this color, I'm also going to do some leaf shapes. You're welcome to use a lighter color too if you feel like you'd like the opportunity to cover it easier. But I'm gonna have 2 leaves coming out from either side there, and then maybe one just kind of peeking from the top. And once I fill those shapes in, it's gonna make a little bit more sense, but those are looking good for now. All right, and then I'm gonna take another little lemon down here, but I'm gonna do the stem first because I'm gonna have it sort of coming off the edge. A little bit more yellow. You could even do this sketch with a pencil. I find that the graphite from the pencil is sometimes hard to cover. So I always like to just paint with paint the whole time. Okay, a little bit of a curve there at the top. Don't want to pull too much of the green in. And I'm gonna make it a little bit bigger as well. Very nice, okay. And this is where you can kind of get creative depending on the shape of your lemons and the size of your lemons. You may want to have certain areas blank. You're gonna fill your composition in how you like. Okay, another lemon shape over here in this left-hand corner. Same idea, and as always, starting small, bringing it out a little bit. And then I think I'll do one more little lemon peeking out from right there, and a few more leaves here and there as well. So I am gonna wanna have some leaves that sort of overlap part of the lemon. And as we fill in, we'll be careful there not to blend our colors together too much. We just need to decide which area is in front of which. Okay, and then a little bit more green for a few more leaves. And again, you can kind of make this however you like, but that's looking pretty good. I want to keep it pretty simple. I think that's looking pretty good. So I'm going to grab my medium-sized brush now. I'm just going to fill those areas in with this main base color. Okay, so a little bit of yellow. I'm going to add some white to my yellow so that it's opaque, not as see-through. And we're just going to fill in all of our lemon yellow shapes with our lemon yellow. Like so. Lots of paint, nice opaque coverage, okay? And then as we fill them in, I'm gonna grab a little bit of my warm brown with some yellow for a little bit of a shade. I'm going to go right around the outside edges with my lemon with some real quick wet on wet blending, just to start to create a little bit of the illusion of that roundness there. So just along the outside edges, and then I just kind of go right over the same line again with that brush for some wet on wet blending. And we're gonna add more to the lemons later too, but we're going to go ahead and have this first little gradation that's going to give us some nice roundness. Okay, and here's an area where we need to be mindful that my leaf is going to overlap my lemon a little bit, so I don't need to fill in that area with yellow and then fill it over with green again. I'll just go ahead and fill it in with green. All right, a little bit of shadow around the edge for some roundness, just a little bit. I'm going to come over the edges again later. I think I'm going to do all of my lemons first, and then I'll come back and do my leaves. I love this brush, it just is so smooth. And really gets the job done pretty quickly. Okay, be careful to bring it, you want to bring it right to the green, but you don't want to pull the green into your lemon too far. And that's another little area that's not going to need to get covered right now. All right, and then just along the outside edge. Like so. All right, we'll worry about connecting everything later. Just getting those shapes filled in right now and getting that first little layer of roundness, little shadow. It's a combo of wet on wet blending and layering as per usual with acrylic. Okay, very nice lemon shape. I think this painting would look so nice in anyone's kitchen. I love lemons and I drink lemon water every day. Okay, and we're gonna kind of lose the shape there, so I'm gonna grab some of my shadow color and just go in there real quick with wet paint, just kind of defining where the shapes meet. A little bit of blending. Oops, pull the green in there. Just gonna pull that off a little bit and go back in with some yellow. Touch that up. You can always touch things up with acrylic, because you can just do another layer right on top. Worst case scenario is that you got to let it dry for a little bit, which is not so bad. Or sometimes you can pull the paint up like I did. Okay. And I'm gonna add a little bit of shadow. On the outside edges. And kind of shadow around the shape. And just blend it into the yellow a little bit. Disappear into the yellow, a little bit of wet on wet. Very subtle, but makes a big difference. Great. Looking fabulous. Let's go ahead now and fill in our greenery. Let's start with the stems. So I'm gonna mix up a little bit more of that color, which was green mixed with yellow and a little bit of brown. Go. And just gonna go right over those stems and thicken them up a little bit. Then I'm gonna grab some brown and a little bit of white and go right on top for a quick highlight for the stems. Just a little bit of brown in the stems. And we also have a stem down here. thickening that up a little bit. And then a little bit of some brown right on top. Great. Okay, and then for our leaves, I use the rest of my yellow here. Very nice. And we're gonna make a little bit of a lighter version. That looks perfect. Of that green. And we're just going to fill in our leaves now, keeping the brush strokes in the direction of the shape. And then once you get that filled in, you can grab a little bit of a light yellow and do a quick highlight with some wet on wet blending as well. I'll show you that a few more times. And it's okay if your leaves are sort of strangely shaped. They don't need to be perfect because they're going to be kind of taking all different angles. So same brush, just a little bit of yellow, and if you go over it a couple times, it'll kind of blend in. That looks really good. Just with our base colors, you can already see the composition coming together, and the final step will just be the piece de la resistance. All right. And just gonna fill them in with green and add my highlights in just the same way. Okay. I like to have a little bit of kind of like a pointed shape at the end. Even though that might not be the reality, I just like to have a little bit of whimsy always in my paintings. I'm not going for photorealism, in case you couldn't tell. Every brush stroke is very deliberate though. And I paint these paintings beforehand, so I know what I'm trying to make it look like. But just have fun with it. It's not meant to be like traditional art school. We're just having fun today, getting creative. All right, looks really good. Nice highlight here, beautiful. To do just kind of one side. Ooh, look how pretty that is. Okay, and our final little leaf shape here. Nice. All right, it looks really good. Let's go ahead now and let this layer dry, and we'll come back with our final step in just a few. Okay, welcome back artists to the final piece de la resistance step. I have the same colors on my palette paper, never use that black, so I have that still on there, and then I got a little bit more brown and yellow. I also rinsed my brushes and got fresh water at break as well. Let's go ahead and jump in now with our final steps. All right, so we're gonna start with my small brush again, and I'm gonna start in this upper left-hand corner with a little bit more of our shadow. So I'm gonna grab now a little bit of black. We're gonna want our darkest shadow here. It's a little bit too dark though. All right, until we get a nice warm yellowish brown for our shadow color here. Very nice, and I'm just going to go over the outside edge here with sort of a final little shadow. As you can see, that just kind of cleans things up a little bit. All right, it's coming around there either side. Okay, and then take a little bit more yellow here for a slightly lighter version of that shade color. I'm gonna do a few little brush strokes sort of throughout as well. Kind of on the sides there, and then a little bit coming here to shadow that little divot area. That would be right there. All right, looks pretty good. I'm just gonna take that shadow color to to each of my lemons now. Just a little bit of like an outline. Okay. Bringing a little bit to each area. Like so. And just a few brush strokes for like a little bit of depth there as well. Okay, and then our main front two here. A little bit of that brown. And just going to shadow sort of either side here. Doesn't need to be a perfect outline. In fact, it's better if it's sort of disjointed here and there. Okay. Coming from the background there. Looking pretty good. Just along the outside edges, and then a few brush strokes within the lemon as well. Kind of gives it that sketchy feel. Okay, looking good. All right, I'm gonna grab some bright yellow and just swipe a few little swipes of that bright yellow sort of right through the center. So our original color there was that light yellow, so this should have a nice vibrant look on top of that nice opaque layer that we had from before. Nice bright yellow here and there. Good opportunity to fill it in again if you need to. You can see through any areas. Then I'm going to take white. I'm going to do a few highlights on each lemon. Just a couple little swipes of white. Like so. Right along the sort of curves of the shape here. Looking pretty good. All right, and then last touch here with our lemons. Gonna take that brown shadow color. I'm going to add a little bit of texture onto the lemon. Each one. Just my little dots, just adding those in kind of here and there. Not too many, just a touch of texture. A little bit of extra sort of where the lemons would meet, because there'd be a little bit of a shadow there. Okay, just a tiny bit here and there. Very nice. And then same idea with a very light yellow for a little bit of highlight, contrast as well. And our lemons are looking really nice. Okay, I brought that a little too close to my outside edge. Just touching that up a little bit. Okay. Little tiny highlights, just a subtle step. All right. And we are pretty much done with our lemons. Unless there's any other final touches that you'd like to add, let's go ahead and move on to our leaves. I'm going to do something very similar. So we have our shape, we have our base color. Now I'm going to take a little bit of a shadow color. Oh, it's a little bit too light. taking my black and blending it with my green and pulling in a little bit of brown until I get a nice sort of dark grayish green. I'm gonna go around each leaf, and I'm gonna do a quick swipe down the center as well. You don't wanna go too dark. And you can also sort of blend it a little bit if you'd like, sort of into the leaf. We'll swipe right down the center. And then we'll also add a few little brush strokes of shadow to create some texture there in the leaf. Okay, right down the center. You don't have to do every single line, just a couple. And then we'll have a couple highlights as well. And that will give us the effect that we're looking for. Okay, a little bit of water always in the paint. Okay. Looking good, almost finished. Outlining the shape, quick swipe down the center. You can use your smaller brush too if you would prefer. There's an even smaller one. I really like this sort of medium small. But just keep that in mind if you ever need more control with these little detail steps. You can use the tiniest brush that you can find. All right, looking very nice. Just a little bit of highlight now. I'm going to take some yellow, mix it a little bit with that green for a nice highlight color. Some white as well. I'm going to do just a few swipes of yellow on each leaf, like so, and then a few swipes of white as well as our sort of final highlight color. Just a little shininess on each shape. All right. Well, I think this painting turned out really nice. Let me know what you thought of it in the comment section below. I'd love to hear from you. If you painted along, I'd love to see your work, and I've created a Facebook group called the Art Club where you can do just that. Link below in the description box to join. Love to see you over there. All right, and that is all the instruction that I have for everyone this week. So please hit like if you liked this painting, and until next time, stay creative.